Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a 2021 Mercedes G550. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Harrison Imports for giving me some time with this G-Wagon. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood, we have a twin-turbo 4-liter V8 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 416 horsepower and then 450 pound-feet of torque. And then also, let's kind of take a look at everything underneath the hood here. So yes, we've got a giant plastic engine cover that pretty much just covers up everything, but it does have the Mercedes logo, which is pretty cool. And then notice you've got the heat shielding just up above it. And yeah, just all the rest of this, I think it looks pretty decent. But the thing that's interesting is, like, look how small that area actually is. Like, it looks like the engine's just pretty much stuffed right in there. Now let's go over the front end of this G550. First off, I love the red color, looks super unique. It's way better than your average G-Wagon that's just black or silver that, yeah, we just see all over. This definitely is cool in red. And then notice we still get the old school looking lights here at the top. We've got our Mercedes logo there in the center. And then we've got the new full LED lights, and yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of how these looked initially, but now seeing it in person, I think it looks a lot better than the previous generation from a lighting perspective. And then we've got the giant Mercedes-Benz logo. And then the thing I think is pretty interesting is this is where the front camera would be, but obviously this has the bar on the front that's blocking it. So it's just like a pretend front camera thing. Definitely interesting. There's parking sensors along the front end, but overall, this definitely has really nice presence from a front end perspective, especially with the bar. It has that cool off-roader type look. Now coming on the side here, we've got two 75mm tires wrapped on 20-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear. The wheels have been all blacked out to kind of go with the overall theme of this particular G-Wagon. And then here's a quick look at what we can see of the front suspension, well, kind of. And then notice that we've got the black fender flares. I think those look really good. And notice that that kind of all flows with the front bumper. We have our V8 badge right there. I think this is pretty cool design-wise, how it goes, splits up and then goes down the side all to the door handles. We have our side steps, and then the exhaust is actually underneath, just right underneath here. And notice how it just tilts down so you don't have to worry about really burning your leg. Some of the old G-Wagons, rather, have the exhaust tips stick out the side, and then you could potentially have that happen, but this goes down, so right, a lot less likely. And then it continues to the back fender flare. But yeah, overall, it looks great. I love the stance on it. And I mean, yeah, it still looks like a G-Wagon. So first off, we have the door that opens up just like a Jeep Wrangler, or you guys probably remember I've reviewed a few FJ Cruisers. Same thing, I love that, just kind of old school door opening. And you actually have a handle to pull it closed if you did want to pop here into the back and close it for some reason. We do have AMG floor mats, which another nice touch. And then all the rest of the stuff that comes with this brand new from Mercedes. Cargo cover, and then notice we have 115 volt back here on top of that. But storage space is actually pretty good. If you guys are wondering, it's about the same amount as a Jeep Wrangler, maybe a little bit more because it's a little bit taller, it seems like. But storage space is pretty comparable to a Jeep Wrangler. Now the nicest thing is the closing sound. Ah, so satisfying. Now let's finish things up here in the rear. So first off, notice that we do have the spare tire here and the tire carrier. Got that cool old school SUV look, and then a blacked out Mercedes-Benz logo, G550. And then over here on the other side, notice that you've got the handle right there to open up the rear. And then we've got the lights down below, which I think they look really good. And then we've got the parking sensors along the bumper. And then we do have a receiver hitch here at the very bottom. And then also, hiding down here, this is where the backup camera pops out of, so it's like underneath the tire. Pretty interesting how they were able to design that, but yeah, that's pretty much everything. And then also notice that the whole roof is blacked out, so again, it kind of contrasts with the rest of the G-Wagon. Now here's the door panel in the back. So notice we have the leather here with the red contrasted stitching, and I love the trim just down below. And then also the door handle feels really nice. You do have heated seats here in the back, and then notice this does have the Burmester sound system, and the speakers for it are very beautiful. And then here are the seats in the back. So notice how the headrests are definitely unique in terms of the look. Red seat belts to kind of match the theme of this particular one, and then more red stitching. And then notice you've got the AMG floor mat, sells all the plastic covering on it. Couple vents, and then you do have the climate zone here for the rear. Now I am going to pop, and I'm just going to step over the side step because I am tall enough. So legroom is pretty good, and then in terms of headroom, There's tons of headroom, so you can fit taller people back here. Legroom's going to be the issue. It's not going to be headroom, and definitely has more legroom compared to the old G-Wagon. And then pulling this down right here, notice we've got a couple of cup holders. But yeah, that's pretty much the back. Let's head to the front. Now here's the door panel at the front. So first off, got all the nice leather here with the stitching across. I love the trim just down below, and then got the nice handle right there. Window controls at the top. The mirrors do power fold in. You've got heated, cooled seats for the front, all of your power adjustments, and then the memory seats, another speaker for the Burmester sound system. We have our Mercedes-Benz plaque right here, and then we've got pretty much like our trail rating badge right there. And then here are the seats at the front. So notice really nice cushioning on the headrest itself. But again, you've got the leather with the stitching, the red seat belts all down below. Pedal layout looks really good. We've got our light control just up above, and then your lane keep assist, and then our parking sensors, and then this does have blind spot monitoring as well, so tons of safety tech. But there's one more look before we pop in. Now here's the steering wheel in the G550. So notice we got soft touch leather at the top and at the bottom with stitching here in the center portion, and then perforated leather where you're actually going to grab the steering wheel more often so you get a better grip. Paddles here on the back. We've got all of our controls here on both sides of the steering wheel. So here's the one side that has like the cruise control, for example, and then I've just got that for the home tab. And then over here, you've got this with the volume controls, and this is kind of more for the infotainment system side of things in terms of the control. So this is for the center gauge cluster. That's for the infotainment system, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's all for that portion of the steering wheel. And then notice you do have the little stalk there for the turn signal and then winch wipers. And then this does have a column shifter in terms of the transmission select, just like a lot of Mercedes models, really easy to use, and that's all for the steering wheel. Now here's a center gauge cluster. I really love the look of this gauge cluster. It's a full digital gauge cluster. You guys can remember from my GLA video, this is very similar basically to that. But aside from that, you do have a couple different menus you can scroll through, again with the controls over on the left side of the steering wheel, just to give you different bits of information on the vehicle. You're most likely going to be in the trip section most of the time, but I mean, it's cool that you can kind of control everything with that. And then we do have some different drive modes you can go through. So we've got our individual sport. Sport opens up the valve, makes the exhaust louder, and you guys will see that in the exhaust clip, which I'll play towards the end of the video. And we've got our comfort, eco, and then the desert mode as well. And so you've got all those different drive modes that you can go through. And here's the center infotainment system. Let's go over the camera part of it first and foremost. So here is the camera aspect. This just has the kind of backup camera function on it, and it's not a touchscreen. I keep reaching for it as if it's a touchscreen, but notice the different viewpoints that you can go through here with the camera system. So I think it's pretty cool how that functions overall. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, like I said, it's not a touchscreen, so you can see if I try to press on the screen, nothing happens. Everything's controlled via a keypad. It's relatively easy to use, the whole keypad, and notice this is where we can also control the massaging seat is through this center screen. But as I was saying, it's relatively easy to control via the keypad, but there's certain things that kind of get a little bit annoying where I'd be like, oh, can I just have this in the touchscreen function when it's not? So for example, I'll show you guys right here where you can see that like there's all these different options. If I want to get out of this, then I press the back page and then it'll show me a bunch of different menus, and you kind of have to just constantly scroll through menus to get into everything. So like if I wanted to go into the climate tab, I then have to go to vehicle, then I have to go to climate control, and then you can kind of customize everything with the climate system. But let's say I want to go back and I want to go and actually change some other stuff like the lights, like the ambient lighting. Then you have to go into ambient lighting. And then once you are into ambient lighting, then you've got the settings that you can scroll through in the ambient lighting, and you have to like constantly scroll through with the menus. So that's really the only downside I see to this, to where it'd be cool if it was a touchscreen, because then I could just go ambient lighting and then I could press over here. But yeah, I mean, it's not a huge deal. So we have our stop start button right here, and then the auto stop start, and then here is the vents. I love the circular vents, really cool. I love the trim all around the infotainment system as well. We've got all the lockers. Again, this is super capable off-road. And then notice we've got all of the climate controls just down below, and then we've got like our radio controls, the nice clock in the center. And then if we open this up, this is where the cup holders are, and then if you want it to close, just press it again. And then this is for the infotainment system, so you can control via this pad, or you can control via this dial, whichever you prefer. But like I said, there's no real touchscreen function, so yeah, kind of interesting. But it's like double down the buttons, because notice you got the home button right there, and then forward, so it's like all in the same area, but then multiple buttons. Drive mode select right here. This is the manual mode, stability control. On the other side, we've got our low range, and then that's for the camera system. And then this is turn on or off the screen. And then we've got our volume select, or sorry, not for the screen, that's for the yes, sorry, it is for the screen. Anyways, aside from my stupidity, that's all the center, and that's all that part. Now here's the center console. I love how it opens up either side like that. Tons of storage space. There's some USBs inside of it. Nice stitching and leather on the top. I love how it has the grab handle, right, to kind of give an homage to the fact that this is an off-road vehicle. And then also, notice you've got a pretty nice glove box, and then there actually is leather above it and then on the glove box, and then hopefully the ambient lighting will show through now. I know it's daytime, so it's kind of hard to see, and then you can see a little bit in the footwell on top of that. So there is ambient lighting all throughout. And then finishing things here at the very top, we do get a sunroof, still has all the plastic covering on it, so we aren't going to open that. Control for it is just right there, and then I love that for the speaker up top, and then all black headliner. Now that we're done going over the interior, let's quickly get into pricing. So in terms of pricing here on the G550, it starts at about $130,000 before options. Once you option them outright, you can get it quite a bit over that. And then on top of that, there is quite a bit of markup on these because of supply and demand. There's not that many out there, and there's way more people that want them. And so don't be surprised if you see these going for 20, 30, 40, 50 plus $1,000 over sticker. Even some of them are going $100,000 over sticker for certain G-Wagons, which is pretty crazy, but that's just where the market is. And if you guys are wondering, this one has literally 99 miles on it. So, I mean, it's as new as it gets. Now this, folks, is what we call door porn. You can thank me later. Now let's get some things up for our video on this 2021 Mercedes G550 G-Wagon. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to Harrison Imports for giving me some time with this G550. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in that next video.